Hi Evie, this is a little video just to give you some feedback about how to construct some of the forms that you're trying to draw. One thing I noticed is when you are drawing something that is like an L shape, you're kind of starting like this, and what happens is that you kind of lose your parallel lines and it doesn't quite sit very well. So one suggestion is to draw the entire box that the shape sits inside, and then you cut away the negative. So my L, I'm going to turn my page around, check things that match up. Things don't quite match up, so checking that things are parallel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that little crate and draw parallel lines, and that's going to help me set out something that has more consistency. Take that measurement over here. Note that I moved the page, so if you find it easier to draw in the pages on your sketchbook by pulling out the pages, go ahead, do that. Okay, your pages don't need to stay stuck in your book or attached in your book. Okay, so there is like an L shape design. If you're doing something that is more like a C shape or a U, I would do the same process. So let's say I'm going to do it in oblique. Again, I would draw out the front, and then remember with oblique it's a 45-degree line, so that's 90 and that's 45. So you're going to draw that line out, and I would turn the page so that you can do parallel lines to that. Okay, you're trying to draw vertical now, or vertical to my body, or perpendicular. Okay, or you could turn it upside down and draw your lines towards yourself. You might find that easier. Note that I'm doing it a few times to get it right. Okay, so that's really important to draw lightly so that you can then tidy things up before you carry on, if that helps. Sorry about the wobbly video camera. You keep bumping it. And then because of the angle that we're seeing things, that distance there, even though it's the same, it feels double the length. Okay, if you're trying to draw something that's a square, it would be half of that length backwards. Okay, if you do art and have learnt about foreshortening, that's what it is. When we look at something straight on, we can't see much of this. As soon as we turn this distance, it starts to become shorter. You can see that this length here is becoming shorter in the frame or view that we're looking at it. Okay, until it disappears. So if you think about this side here, we can't see it. We can see it really short. It's getting longer and longer and longer and longer until the angle or viewpoint makes it parallel. Okay, so it's the same with the angle in oblique. This angle here is quite, I guess, low, so it's foreshortened, and that will make it look more realistic. Okay, if we keep the normal length, this length here in our drawing, it's going to look really strange. It's not going to look to proportion. Anyways, back to the U, C shape, something along those lines. Now I'm going to carve out that shape within that larger proportion. Okay, so that I can get those proportions working well. Get in my little L shape for the seats, and then we can go in and maybe do something like curve this. Find halfway, do a curve there, curve that there. We're going to do the same from here to here as a bit of a guide, because that's going to drop down, and that point's going to drop down and match up with this. It's all dropping down. And then this edge is going to go in here. Kind of note that I kind of get points, I locate points, and I'm trying to connect up. And then we're going to see an edge in here which is probably going to line up to that top curve that I had first established, so that could be a little confusing. I'm kind of drawing an X-ray vision there just to make sure that my curve is nice and has a good flow to it. I'm going to add on some thin and thick lines now so you can see where edges are kind of separate to one another. So that distance there needs to be the same here, and that's going to go in behind. The next step would be some nice weighty lines at the bottom, making it feel like it touches the ground. Some lines around the outside, the exterior edges of the form, and now we probably need some shading or a quick hatch to make some of these surfaces look separate. Fade that hatch out over there because that surface is going to start catching some light. My pencil needs some sharpening. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully that will help you with constructing your form, keeping your edges or axes parallel, because you have located it or started with a overall crate for your proportions. So you've got parallel edges that you're kind of then carving out within.